Saints at Panthers, NFL Week 10. Four straight games against legitimate playoff contenders, seemingly. It's four straight losses. Named the rookie quarterback as a starter. Then on Tuesday at the trade deadline, you traded Rashid Shaheed and Trevor Penning, sending a signal it's going to be a youth movement. But unlike those last four opponents who statistically were superior to the Saints in most, if not all, areas, Carolina's a little different. Both teams are in the bottom in the NFL and offensively, both in the middle of the pack NFL defensively. So this is the closest to an evenly matched game the Saints have had in over a month. So today we'll break down the trades. We'll explain who needs to step up in that youth movement and why the Saints, who are clearly still underdogs, might have a shot at pulling an upset in Carolina with a little bit of luck. I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. We kind of need to start with what went on Tuesday at the trade deadline because it's setting up a whole lot for this game. We have a bye week, and then we're going to finish out the season. And I think that youth movement, development, trying to figure stuff out, that's the rate we're going. We'll do Trevor Penning first. It's the easiest because it was an expiring contract at the end of the season. He was going to be a free agent. Chargers gave us a 2027 six-round pick. So we're at least getting some compensation for a player that I think they were when the offer came up, they had to take it because there's a good chance he was maybe not coming back unless it was going to be completely at the team's mercy as far as number of years and minimum salary. So this creates a little opening that we'll talk about in a minute, but you get something back. It former first rounder, but it is what it is. Rashid Shaheed, and we had talked about this, another expiring contract, and he turned some heads since he showed up in the league. He's gradually just gotten better and better. He will be 28 in August, so a little of the two receivers that we had that are kind of trying to fight it out to be who's number one. He's 3 years older. I think that played a lot into it, knowing there's no way we're going to be able to sign them both, nor should we try in the state of situation we're in now, everything included. So Seahawks wanted him. We get a 2025 fourth and fifth round picks for him. I'm sorry, 2026 fourth and fifth round picks for him. The theory is that the Saints would have gotten a fourth round compensatory pick when he left in free agency next season. No way guaranteed that you get that compensatory pick because there's a formula involved. But combining that with the Saints giving up the fourth and seventh round picks for Devon Vele to trade for him, the net game of the related moves is the Saints get a fifth round pick extra, kind of almost Shaheed for Vele in a fifth in a weird sort of way. But they have a receiver who's I think he's roughly the same age as Shaheed. He is older. He's on his second year of a rookie deal. You got roster control on him, and you're not going to be paying him a lot of money as much as going to find another receiver. And again, this is getting to the youth movement and giving opportunities that we'll be talking about in a second. You also had rumors that the Bills were interested in Chris Olave, which I'm guessing they feel comfortable with getting the extension on him. And I'm thinking they chose him over Olave just because he's the younger of the two, or a lot to do with it. Seattle, Kubiak, who was here last year, he kind of unlocked Rashid Shaheed that we haven't really done this year. So this might be one of those, wish we could have gotten higher compensation for him, but it is what it is. This might actually be one of those things where it's a good move for both the player and the Saints as an organization. You get something for him. He's going to have the opportunity if he does anything near what he was doing last year when Kubiak had him before the knee injury. He's more than likely going to get that big multi-year deal he's looking for. The one that kind of came out during the week that surprised me was there was rumors or reports, I should say, that the Saints and Colts were talking a lot about Alontae Taylor possibly going to Indianapolis. He's also an expiring contract at the end of the season, and not much talk about are they trying to extend him or what's going on there, or if they're going to let him go test the free agent market. And if that's the case, getting draft compensation for him now would probably be the logical move. And it just went away like that when the Colts found out they could go get Sauce Gardner, who's one of the, if not the top cornerback in the league right now. They make that trade, so obviously they're not interested in Taylor anymore. So some people might see this as a sign of tanking, honestly, and yeah, maybe it is in a way. But at 1-8, come on. I don't think you need to try and tank. It's kind of been happening on its own the whole season. So I don't think it's tanking as much as committing more to development and evaluation mode. Probably something they should have been doing more at this point, as you had a 4-game losing streak, you won a game, and then you went back on a 4-game losing streak. So it kind of is what it is at this point. So they're trying to figure out, or even in some cases, maybe even betting that the players that are already on the roster that will be here next year, that they're going to step up and force themselves to be here next year, because a lot of the guys will be looking at this is the thing about having young guys on rookie deals and roster control. They're tradable and they're extremely cuttable if it's not going to work out. And the Saints are now in that portion of the rebuild going, you got to do something to force us to keep you here. Next 8 games, I think that's what this is all going to be about, and I think that's what this should be all about. Just briefly to bring it back up, I kind of mentioned it a little bit in the last video that this is this is a callback to last year when we traded Lattimore. Yeah, you got some compensation for him. You moved on, created not immediately, but you created a little cap relief that's coming and will be done with by 2027. You When you know that player is not, and I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth or thoughts in anybody's head, but when the player and the team realize it's not working or it's not going to work long term, and there's no short term hope, because honestly, there is no playoff chance this year. And unless you get some of these young players to develop, you've got limited hope next year unless you can add picks and improve on your draft process, get back to restocking a roster with talent that can help you win. So part of me thinks that they should have seen this coming and maybe should have started this rebuilding process a few months earlier than we actually did, but it's here now. It is what it is. The Shaheed trade especially was painful. Taylor probably would have been too if that deal would have ended up working out. But as I said before, your screw ups and stupidity for 3 or 4 straight years when it comes to stuff like this is what put you in this position, and it's going to be painful to get out of it. Now, one thing about going with the youth movement, given opportunities, and like I just said, these opportunities, these players that are getting them, better do stuff that forces the Saints to go, yep, you're coming back next year. We need to keep you around. Now, kind of already started last week. I think the clear signal, I've kind of said all along, Rattler was going to be the initial starter, just having some game experience. I refer to it, he's going to be penciled in with a chance to turn it into ink or eventually open the door for when Shuck's ready to come in and take over. It's basically what happened when he started turning the ball over those last 2 games, Rattler's last 2 games. So now he's already the starter. So you've kind of set that tone. And now he's going into the second game. And he's the one with the opportunity sitting right there in his hands. He's got to keep earning the starting job for the rest of the season, in my mind. And that doesn't necessarily mean, even if he does that he's still going to be the guy next year, because he's got to prove that on top of it. But it starts with showing him, no, I'm not going to give the job back to Rattler by not being effective, not doing the things I'm supposed to do. So you're looking at him this week. You need him to play. You need him to play loose and fast. Um, kind of get that offense in a rhythm, get it going. We really haven't seen that in any of the 4 losses, really, or not very much of it. He's got to avoid mistakes. Ultimately, that's what got Rattler in the most trouble. And if you start turning the ball over, you're opening the door right back up. And when he makes a mistake, because they'll happen, we need him to avoid mistakes, but he's going to make them. He's got to learn from them. There's cannot be repeatable mistakes. I think we saw that a little bit with Rattler, especially when he came to putting the ball in jeopardy. So in earnest, he started his audition for the job last week in LA. This Sunday, it's like, okay, audition over. But like I said, you got to keep the job. You got to keep showing you can handle it. But more importantly, you got to keep getting better. So one way to do that, get that offense in rhythm, keep it in rhythm, get yardage, move the ball down the field, score touchdowns. Do that, make some good decisions under pressure, and above all, take care of the ball. I think also you're going to see some offensive line youth movement. Now, this one not more indirectly on this one. I'm pretty sure Dylan Radens is going to take Penning's spot at left guard. And Fuaga, we don't know if he's going to play. He's nursing an ankle injury. So one of the younger linemen, assuming Richards, likely to handle right tackle as of right now. But you're, including Richards, your primary reserves right now are all young linemen in Torricelli Simpkins and Xavier Truss. So, look, even minor injuries, and you see that all the time with offensive linemen, cause them to miss some plays in a game or miss a little time, even if they come back or they don't, and somebody has to step in and fill out the rest of the game. These are the guys that are going to be coming up in there and trying to do it. So just the brutality of football and being an offensive lineman means you're going to see more of these. Simpkins has got a good run. We haven't seen anything of Truss, and we've seen little snapshots of Richards. I got a feeling you're going to be seeing more of all of them. Also, Barry Wesley, who was injured and put on an IR as an offensive lineman, got a lot of play in the preseason, I think running mostly with the twos. He started practicing, so you may be close to, if he's fully recovered from his injury, adding another young offensive lineman into the mix that may get some opportunities. So I'm not expecting any of them to show up and become all pros over the next 8 games, but again, make them keep you. Force them to keep you here till next year and keep fighting for a spot on this roster. Vele and a wide receiver depth. Now, Brandon Cooks is going to take a lot of Shaheed's snaps and targets, I'm pretty sure, but there is going to be the opportunity that we've been wanting, or I've been wanting, but I think a lot of other fans, get Devon Vele on the field. And now you have 8 games to make him an integral part of the offense and see if he can handle it, see if he can do the job, see if he can be that physical outside presence that we've seen teeny tiny glimpses of. I hope he can do it over a long stretch of games where you can confidently go, we at least have a number 2, number 3 chain moving receiver and a red zone target. All things we really desperately have been needing all season. Mason Tipton is going to, in my mind, get his final shot over this stretch too, because he ought to start seeing some more snaps. He's probably the most likely guy to try to assume some type of over-the-top game breaker. He's the fastest receiver that we have left since Shaheed. Now that Shaheed's gone, look, he came out in high hopes in preseason last year. Didn't do much during the course of the season. Very similar situation this year. He's returning kicks now, and that's about it. Not really been integral in the offense. Honestly, I don't know if he's suddenly going to show up and be one of those guys that's going to force the Saints to keep him. But he's going to get the opportunity before they start looking at some receivers. They still have Kevin Austin Jr. and a few other guys that have been around on the practice squad. They're all younger receivers. Tipton better bring it because there's going to be some opportunities if he does it for some of those guys to come up and try to prove they should be here next year. The defensive side, we've already been using a lot of young players to get opportunity, whether it's by injury or not. Um, I notice, most notably Quincy Riley and Jonas Sanker, and it feels like we've got something with both those players. Now, we don't know how much, but I feel like, yeah, there's somebody or they're two players have an opportunity to use going forward, especially as Staley's defense evolves with changeover in personnel that he needs on the defensive side. That you may really have something with those two players. See him get better and better. Kicking in Kool-Aid McKinstry in his second year, and I know it's been a roller coaster for him this year where he's played really awesome in some games and struggled in others. But along in this process, it's the opportunity for him keep playing the whole season, get it figured out going into his third year where they know either, yeah, he's the true number one corner on this team that we've got to and adding guys like Riley and build around, or he's not, and we may have to look for a better alternative, whoever it may be. Red John Wright may start getting some more opportunities at corner also. A few other defensive backs out there. Howden is gotten some opportunities and been on the field. He may be playing for his last chance to stay around. Pete Werner's snaps have been steadily going down the last few weeks. We're seeing more Danny Stutzman, more of Isaiah Stalbert. I definitely think that needs to keep happening. I thought maybe, and I think a lot of Saints fans did, that as they were stealing snaps from Werner, that he was going to be traded Tuesday at the deadline. He may have been available and nobody wanted him, or the Saints were just maybe not sure they want to give up on him yet and keep him through the end of the season. Because whatever playing time he gets as a veteran, it's the same thing. Hey, you're getting the opportunity. You're going to have to do some stuff that forces us to keep you here. Talking about practice squad call-ups, another one, Audric Estime, second-year pro. Denver had drafted him last year and cut him this year. We've got him on the practice squad. He's been brought up, help out at the running back depth. Look, Alvin was basically benched after that fumble on Sunday. I didn't even realize it until after the game, and I saw somebody mention it on Twitter, and I was like, holy, yeah, that was Neal the rest of the game. So, again, some youth movement. Looks like they're more than willing to let Neal handle as much as he can handle. Estime may be getting his second chance of making an NFL team over the course of the rest of the season. So, look, connect it all individually, any of these moves, you're like, it happens during the course of the season. But where we're at, when you look at the roster situation we were in, making that quarterback change on the road before the bye week, which I think most people thought if it was coming, it was going to be week 11, tells you, I think, hey, a little more of a youth movement. We took the opportunity to bring in as much draft capital as we can. This is really about opportunity and development the rest of this season. Uh, and again, it's sending a message, and I think it's a good message to send to a lot of players. If you want to be in the plans and not have to go restart this whole process on another team that didn't draft you or didn't sign you, you're going to have to do some stuff that forces us to keep you here. So we should be seeing a lot of these. And like I said, some we've been seeing a lot of already. More of them, more of the guys we haven't seen much of, maybe getting more snaps. So how can all these guys actually affect what's going to be going on in Carolina? Well, they'll have the opportunity to, and I think that's an opportunity. It's not a huge one, but an opportunity that the Saints may be able to, if they can do some stuff right, get back on track and have a shot at getting a win in Carolina. Talk about that next. Despite their winning record that the Panthers have right now, I think this game is a little different than the last four. Look, for sure, Rams, Bucks, and Patriots, You can look at it right now, barring no disasters happening over the rest of the season. They're pretty solid playoff contenders. And a couple of things go those teams' way. They're more than that. They're contenders to make a deep playoff run. Bears seem to be getting it, and they may over the next few weeks, if they continue to play well and doing what they're doing, they're going to gain some ground into to people. I think considering them that's a playoff caliber team. You've had four of those in a row. We have proven we're not one of those playoff caliber teams. So when you look at the Panthers, think about where they were a year ago. They were more or less where we are now. Then they actually stomped our heads in Charlotte, started playing better, started to figure out ways to win games, finished kind of strong. And after a little bit of a rocky start to open this season, they've won four out of their last five while we were losing four out of our last five. So you look at the numbers, and normally I would roll through them all. There's really no point because they're not that far off from each other. You know, we score with 31st in the NFL and scoring at 15.3 a game. Well, they're 27th at 18.9. They're about 3 points better. You know, scoring defense, we give up 27, they give up 22. It's not even a touchdown difference. But when you roll through all those stats, either slightly or marginally higher, they do more than we do in those numbers, pretty much across the board. But the only thing that we totally compete with them in is third down offense because we're tied for 20th in the NFL with them, both converting at a 37.5%. But when I look at their roster and compare rosters, their roster is slightly better. There's no doubt about it. Especially now we've lost some key players to attrition. But again, I don't think it's that far away. I think the two big advantages they have over us, if you look at their rosters, their offensive line and their running backs. And that's where they really have the advantage over us. They run the ball extremely well. Fifth in the NFL, 139.8, basically call it 140 yards a game. We give up 130 for the most part. That's a problem. We only run for 89.6. They defend at 110.8 against the run. Those are the numbers, those are the margins we've got to close and try to beat to have a shot at this game. And at one point this season, we could run the ball, and at times we can stop the run. And then sometimes we can do neither, especially the last few games. Get back to commitment to running the ball and get back to that. We're going to stop them from running the ball and running it down our throats. Look, one thing should have mentioned this is the fact that when you look at the Panthers passing offense, total offense, they're number 22 at 310 a game, 170.9, 171 a game passing. That's less than we give up. That's one of the few where we have the better margin. So look, it really comes down. If you're the Saints, you want to have a shot at winning this game, you got to stop the run and you got to be able to run the ball. Period. End of story. And like I said, we were doing it better early in the year, and it's been pointed out a few times. And I think Kirk Triplet was one. My triplet was one rather. Somewhere else is I read we're bringing up the fact that most of the better running games we had and better film and everything else. And I'm going, yeah, I don't know if I can necessarily disagree with this. Was when we had McCoy healthy and playing, but Fortner has not done a bad job in relief of him. But it was also when Dylan Radens was starting at left guard in those first few games. So I don't know if there's anything baked into that, and there would be more than just that player switch involved. But I'm hoping the player switch back gives us a spark right there, maybe on that left side, a little more running. and we commit to it so we can, you know, I don't know, run the ball. Because if we can't, we're going to be in trouble. And if we don't stop them, they're going to beat us fairly soundly and fairly easily. So it's all running game for me. And the keys. You can't let the Rams running attack or the Bears running attack, especially anything like that, show up in this game on Sunday. You're gonna be in trouble, and that's by design with the Panthers because they have a run heavy offense. It's it's pretty much when Canales came over from Tampa Bay, what he did there, did it last year, is doing it again this year. It's going to be zone runs, especially outside zone runs. They're going to do some gap stuff and some power running out of a gap scheme. And they want to get Bryce Young moving around, using play action, using some rollouts. They seem to be pretty committed to the West Coast style. They are more than happy as long as they're running the ball. They'll take short to intermediate passing. You know, you can't ignore that they may try to throw one over the top and get you, but if you want to play back there and prevent anything over the top, they'll take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards of play to move the ball down the field. So you can't ignore the deep passing by any chance, but Staley's got to come in there with the scheme designed. We're going to run the ball and force them to do what they don't. I don't want to say they don't like to do, but they feel like we don't have to do, which is throw for less than 180 a game and still be able to win more than you lose. The offense for the Saints, I think the other key to this, besides running the ball, is taking advantage of predictability. And I did not realize this at all. The how uneven this was. I knew the Panthers defense, they really like their zone sets. Um, According to PFF, they're number one in zone coverage in the NFL. They do it at about 82% clip. They're dead last in man. They do it at about a 12% clip. Yeah, I get that doesn't add up to 100%, and I don't know why PFF doesn't explain it, but my best guess is, you think tush pushes and some fumbled snap or anything like that. There are some plays during the course of a game where it's over before it really gets started, and they don't have time to really know for sure what coverage the defense was in. And probably on those plays, it doesn't matter. But if they're going to be that zone heavy, and that's the way they want to play it and keep playing it, you have to take advantage of that. You can't be caught off guard that they're doing what most NFL defenses are doing now. They're just doing it with the most heavy presence of zone. Look, we're not letting you give up the big plays over the top. We're going to rally to the ball. That's how we're going to basically stop the run at the line of scrimmage, and we have eyes on the backfield to handle quarterbacks or running backs coming out. We're going to make you grind it down the field on us. We think you won't be able to do it. We're not going to play a lot of man. We're not going to put ourselves in positions to give up big plays because of a blown man coverage or anything like that. And I get it. It's been a very effective and successful defenses around the league. But like I said, they're relying so heavily on zone. Seems like if Kellen Moore is the play designer and the game plan guy and the play caller, we all hope he is, he should be able to do something to use that to his advantage, even with the younger quarterback. And I think the biggest thing is, besides establishing that running game and committing to it, is when you do throw it, knowing they play so much zone. Look, be on the lookout for a man switch and some type of blitz coming off of it. Don't go to sleep on that, offensive line included. But at the same time, get some plays designed to really dialed in for Tyler Shough against a zone heavy presence like they have, cover two, cover three, cover four, etc. Try to get him in rhythm early, get him going, get the offense in rhythm and going early, and quit having these slow, I don't even call them slow starts anymore. Dead stop. Our offense just comes out on the field at a dead stop for 2, 3 drives, however long it is, before they crank the engine and try to get moving. Definitely has to end. If you do that on the road in Carolina, you're making their job so much easier on them. So Like I said, the running difference is a clear point of contention that if you don't cover that margin of that gap between our run offense, their run defense, and our run defense and their run offense, it's going to be a long day. And some teams have already found that out over the last couple of weeks. And it's two teams headed in two different directions over the past year that's referencing like an evenly matched situation in this weird sort of way is we were slowly declining last year while they were slowly starting to figure it out roughly about this time of year and trying to move it up. And it seems to have caught on into this year where now they're trending up and we're definitely not. It seems to me basically over the last calendar year they figured out how to win games. We definitely have not done that. Very much of that. That needs to start because, like you said, there's not a lot of players that scare the death out of me on that offense. Rico Dowdle, their running back, and even Hubbard, the backup, if he gets in the game, they do. Bryce Young, for the most part, he's not constantly throwing up scary big numbers. You feel like if you can contain him, keep him pressure, and force them to throw the ball way more than they can run it, you're going to be able to affect him. You got Ted McMillan, the rookie on the outside. They're going to try to get him the ball, and you're going to have to contend with a physical guy. So our DBs will have to be ready for it. Defensively, I do think we can do some stuff to shut him down. Offensively, I do think we can do some stuff, handle that front line, do some stuff to move the ball and score points. So they are a better team that knows how to win games. They I'm pretty sure when you're looking at how close the numbers are and the two diverse records between the teams, they're a more disciplined team. So I looked up penalties. We're still in the top 10 most penalized. They are way down there in the bottom of the NFL. They don't get flags, cause flags to be thrown. That's a big indicator because turnover margins, both teams are -4. Sacks, we have 21 on the year, they have 20. And you just keep going and pulling numbers and going, it's dead even or so close to dead even. Where's the difference? Difference in this game, running the ball, stopping the run, being disciplined, playing smart football, playing sound football. The Saints can get back to doing that like they were for a little stretch earlier in the year. You can make yourself competitive in this game. That's what I'm saying. That's why we're a little evenly more matched. You need to be good. You don't need to be superhuman to win this game. But if you aren't good, they are going to beat your butt. So to wrap it up, been an interesting week 10 going into the bye week. You had the trade that opened up basically the week on Tuesday. Made sense, I think, what you did in both of them. You've opened up a little more space in your roster, either directly in the case of the receiver room or a little indirectly in the case of the offensive line for some of those young guys to prove it, to step up, get their shot. Should be seeing more of those opportunities on defense, I believe. And it's a good opponent to do it in because while we're not evenly matched with Carolina, we're a lot closer to evenly matched than any game we played this year outside the Giants. So a little luck and you get that type of effort against the Giants. And it feels like luck right now because we haven't come close to doing it since then. Whether it's luck or not, if we can get that type of effort this week, give ourselves a shot. But it's a lot of ifs. A lot of ifs and a little bit of luck needed. And like I said, I 24-19, I think we can get a little closer than we've been, and we can get a little closer to the magic 20 number in points. Just don't know if we can come up with enough to pull out the win. But I do believe there's the opportunity there for a win for the first time in weeks. So I'll be back Monday or Sunday night, maybe with the reaction to the game. See, hopefully we get that win. We sneak out of Charlotte with a win going into the bye week. I think that would learning how to win games is important, and we need to start doing it. Hopefully, we get the shot this week. But regardless, we'll recap the game. We'll talk about it. We'll have film room during the week, and then the schedule is going to change a little bit of the bye week. So I'll keep you posted on what's going to happen then. So first time here, give me please like, share, subscribe. Go ahead in the comments. Hey, let me know your prediction for the game. Y'all do a good job of throwing them out there with some pretty good reasoning. Also, who you looking forward to get on the field? Whether it's somebody that the younger players that have been sneaking on the field, say like our linebackers, and opportunity for more, or seeing Vele now for most of the offense instead of 20% of the offensive snaps like he had been doing, whomever it may be. So let me know down in the comments. Tell me all about it. So, like I said, we'll be back for the recap. We'll have film room, and then after that, it's the bye week conundrum, and we'll figure out what's going then. So, until I see you next time, I'm Tim. Peace out. Who dat?